My name is Emma. I work in a small company in the city. Every morning I take the train at 7 a.m. The train is always full. People look tired and quiet. I hold my coffee cup and look out the window. Sometimes I wonder why my life feels so heavy. When I arrive at the office, I smile and say, "Good morning." But no one really looks at me. My co-workers talk in small groups. They laugh, but not with me. Sometimes I hear my name when they whisper. I know they are talking about me, but I pretend not to care. My boss is a serious man. He never smiles. Every time I send him a report, he finds something wrong. "You need to do it again," he says. I say, "Okay." Then I stay late to fix it. Day after day, I feel more tired. I eat lunch alone. I walk to the bathroom just to take a deep breath. I look in the mirror and think, I don't even know who I am anymore. One afternoon, I make a mistake in a file. My coworker, Anna, finds it and tells everyone. She says loudly, "Emma did it wrong again." Everyone laughs. My face turns red. My heart beats fast. I want to disappear. That night, I stay in the office until it's dark. Everyone else has gone home. The city lights shine through the window. I look at the empty chairs and think, is this all my life will be? When I finally walk out of the building, it's raining. The sound of rain is soft, but my heart feels loud. I walk to the bus stop slowly. My shoes are wet. My hands are cold. I think about how hard I've tried, how much I've wanted to be good enough. But no one ever sees it. At home, I sit on my bed with my laptop open. I open my work email. There's another message from my boss. He says, "Please check the numbers again before morning." I stare at the screen for a long time. Something inside me just breaks. I close the laptop. I whisper to myself, I can't do this anymore. Tears fall down my face. I cry quietly, afraid the neighbors will hear. Then I take a deep breath. For the first time, I don't feel afraid. The next morning, I walk into the office as usual. I put an envelope on my boss's desk. Inside is my resignation letter. He looks surprised. "You're leaving?" he asks. I say, "Yes." When I step outside, the air feels different. The sun is warm. The street smells like fresh bread from the cafe. I don't know what will happen next, but I know one thing for sure. I'm free. The first day after I quit my job, I woke up early. For a moment, I forgot that I had no work to go to. Then I remembered. I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. The room was too quiet. I made some coffee and sat by the window. Outside, people were walking fast, carrying bags, talking on their phones. They looked busy. I felt lost. At first, I told myself, it's okay. I just need a short break. But the days started to feel long. Morning became afternoon. Afternoon became night. And I didn't do much at all. I watched videos online. I scrolled through photos on social media. Everyone looked happy. Everyone looked like they had a plan. I didn't have one. I felt small. Sometimes my mom called. She asked, "How are you doing, Emma?" I said, "I'm fine, just resting." But my voice sounded weak. At night, I sat on the floor with the lights off. I listened to the sound of cars outside. The city was alive, but I wasn't part of it. I tried to write a to-do list. Clean my room, go for a walk, read a book. But every time I looked at the list, I just sighed. I had no energy to start anything. One morning, I went to the small cafe near my apartment. The girl at the counter smiled and said, "Good morning." Her voice was bright. It made me want to cry. I said, "Good morning," softly. I sat by the window and watched people come and go. Some looked tired, some smiled. I wondered if they also felt lost sometimes. After a while, I took out my notebook. I wrote one question. Who am I without work? I looked at the words for a long time. I didn't have an answer. When I got home, I lay on the bed and looked at the ceiling again. The silence felt heavy. My phone buzzed, but I didn't pick it up. I thought about my old office, my co-workers, my desk, my computer. Even though I hated that place, a small part of me missed it. At least, when I was there, I had something to do. Now, I had nothing. That night, I turned off the lights and sat near the window. The city lights looked like stars. I whispered, I just want to feel alive again. And in the dark, I promised myself I would try to find a new reason to wake up. It was a Friday night. I sat on the couch with a blanket around me. The TV was on, but I wasn't really watching. The sound felt far away. My heart felt far away too. Then my phone started to ring. The screen showed Lisa Yellowheart. Lisa was one of my closest friends, but we hadn't talked in weeks. I hesitated for a moment, then I answered. Hey, Emma, she said, her voice bright and full of life. Hey, I said softly. My voice sounded sleepy. She asked, what are you doing? Nothing much, I said. Just staying home. She laughed. Still staying home? You sound like a grandma. I smiled a little. Maybe I am one now. Then she said, we're all meeting this weekend. Me, Amy, and June. You have to come. I looked at the floor. I don't know, Lisa. I'm not really in the mood. She sighed. Emma, you've been hiding for too long. Come out. We miss you. There was silence for a few seconds. Then she said softly, you don't have to pretend to be okay. Just come. Be with us. Her voice felt warm. It reached a part of me that had been asleep. I took a deep breath. Okay, I said quietly. I'll come. Lisa screamed, yes. Saturday night, 7 p.m. at Bella's Cafe. Don't be late. Before I could say more, she hung up. After the call, I sat there, holding my phone. I looked around my apartment. It was messy, clothes on the chair, empty cups on the table. I stood up and started cleaning. It felt strange, but it also felt good. The next day, I went to the mall to buy a new dress. It had been months since I bought something for myself. When I looked in the mirror, I saw a tired face, but also a small smile. The saleswoman said, you look nice. I said, thank you. That night, I painted my nails light pink. I played music while I got ready. For the first time in a long time, I felt a little excited. Before bed, I looked out the window. The moon was bright. The city looked soft and alive. I whispered, maybe tomorrow will be better. And deep inside, I felt something I hadn't felt in a while, hope. Saturday came. I put on the new dress I bought. It was simple, light blue, and soft. When I looked in the mirror, I saw someone I almost forgot, me. The cafe was warm and full of light. When I walked in, I saw Lisa waving her hands. Emma! Over here! She shouted. Amy and June were already there, smiling. I felt shy at first. Lisa hugged me tight. Finally! You're alive! We all laughed. We ordered pizza, pasta, and a big chocolate cake. The smell of food filled the air. Music played softly in the background. At first, I didn't talk much. I just listened to their voices, their laughter, the sound of plates and glasses. It felt like a world I had been missing. Amy leaned closer. So, how's your freedom? I smiled weakly. Empty, I said. I thought I would feel happy. But I just feel lost. Amy nodded. I felt the same when I quit my job last year. I looked at her, surprised. You did? She laughed. Oh, yes, I cried for weeks. But now I work from home and I love it. Lisa said, you just need time to breathe again. June added, and maybe a little wine. We all laughed again. The night went on. We talked about work, love, bad dates, funny things that happened long ago. I started to forget the heaviness I carried. Then June looked at me and said, "Remember how you used to paint? You were so good." I blinked. I haven't painted in years. She smiled softly. "You should start again. You looked happiest when you painted." Something in me moved. I remembered the smell of paint, the sound of brushes on paper, the calm it gave me. I whispered, "Maybe I will." Amy raised her glass. "To Emma, finding her way back." We all raised our glasses. "To new beginnings," I said. The glasses touched, and the sound felt like hope. When we left the cafe, the air outside was cool and gentle. The city lights looked softer than before. Lisa linked her arm through mine and said, "See, life isn't over, it's just changing." I smiled. For the first time in a long while, I believed her. The next morning, I woke up early. Sunlight came through the curtains and touched my face. The world felt quiet, but not empty. I made a cup of tea and opened the window. The air was fresh. Birds were singing somewhere far away. I stood there for a long time, just breathing. Then I saw my old art box in the corner of the room. It was covered with dust. I walked over, opened it, and smiled. My brushes, my colors, my small sketchbook, they were still there, waiting for me. I sat by the window and started to paint. At first my hand shook a little, but slowly the lines came to life. Blue, green, yellow. I filled the paper with soft colors. It wasn't perfect, but it felt alive. As I painted, I felt something inside me open again. It was like my heart was breathing for the first time in months. Later that day, Lisa sent me a message. "How are you feeling today?" I sent her a picture of my painting. She replied, "You're back." I smiled. That afternoon I went outside. The sun was warm on my skin. I walked to the park and sat on a bench. Children were playing. Couples were walking hand in hand. Everything looked simple, but beautiful. An old lady sat next to me. She was feeding the birds. She looked at me and said, "It's a nice day, isn't it?" I said, "Yes, it really is." And I meant it. I realized something. I didn't need to have everything figured out. I didn't need a big plan or a perfect job right now. I just needed small things that made me feel alive. A walk in the park, a good cup of tea, a quiet moment to paint, a laugh with friends. Life didn't have to be big to be meaningful. It just had to be honest. That night I stood on my balcony and looked at the city lights. They weren't as far away as before. I felt calm. I whispered, "I'm okay." The wind moved softly around me, as if it whispered back. And for the first time in a long time, I truly believed it. I didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but I knew I could face it. Because now I had found something stronger than fear. Peace.